Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. We've got your latest Manchester United news. I'm in the studio, and I'm in the studio because later on I'm doing a watch along with Ricky for Morocco against Spain on That's Football. But lots to talk about with Manchester United this morning. Jude Bellingham, we're out of the race for him. Gvardiol, Leipzig and Croatian centre-back. United are interested in him, according to Sky Germany. Also, Memphis Depay, apparently we're very interested in him as well. And it doesn't end there. Dumfries' agent has spoken about his desire to get Dumfries a move and doesn't want his price to keep going up. So lots to get into on the show this morning. Also want to talk about the number 7 shirt and whether it should be reallocated so quickly. So get ready to go. I can see that people are in the chat. It's working absolutely fine. It's not pre-recorded, Roman. Otherwise, if it was pre-recorded, I wouldn't be able to say pre-recorded Roman from the chat. First thing we're going to talk about out of the race. Saw this morning, Jude Bellingham, Sky Germany, Manchester United out of the race. No chance. They're not in the race and they're not going to join the race. Jude Bellingham to Manchester United. Not surprised. I'm not here to say I told you so, but I did say we wouldn't get Jude Bellingham, and I have been saying that for quite a while. I think it's too late to get in the race for Jude Bellingham, especially when we don't have the new owners. Jude Bellingham is such a massive investment for whoever buys him, and it's the sort of deal that you've got to be working on already. And Liverpool are already working on it, Real Madrid are already working on it, and maybe Man City are already working on it as well. So Manchester United haven't been looking at this deal. It's a nice to have. It's not something that they're looking at. And the fact that Sky Germany can say we're not in the race and we're not going to join the race just shows you who is in the race and how far into that race they are. Liverpool fans have been very confident about Jude Bellingham. I've always felt that confidence might be a bit over the top, but you see him in that England camp in the way that he's, you know, Jordan Henderson is almost his role model, and you see that relationship there. I think that Liverpool probably are going to win that race, or Man City. It's not a race that Manchester United can win at the moment. How could we win this race? Why aren't we winning this race? I can see people saying that in the chat. Bear says that Sky Germany are never wrong. They are sometimes wrong, and I think that Plettigol is a good journalist, and he's the one who's talking about this as well. But logically, why did I think we weren't in the race for Jude Bellingham? Because one, we need to buy 3 or 4 more players over the next year. Jude Bellingham would use up all your budget and more. Under a Glazer regime, he is going to use all your budget. Now, is Jude Bellingham the one player that we need? No. We need a right back, we need a striker, we need a centre back, and we need a midfielder. So if you bought Jude Bellingham, you're using all of your budget and more on one player that doesn't solve all the problems you've got. Now, for Liverpool, Real Madrid, Man City, their squads, Bellingham adds to it, and they maybe don't need any more. So he doesn't suit what Ten Hag needs to do with that squad. Jude Bellingham is an icing on the cake, and he's a very, very good icing on the cake, but it's not what Man United need to do. They can't really go and spend all their money on one player. The one way we could get in on this deal is if we had that new ownership of massive investment in the club. But we're not going to have that until at the earliest March, April, by which time Bellingham will pretty much have decided where he's going to go if he hasn't already. So Jude Bellingham, no chance, not in the race, whatever you want to call it, is totally logical to me. It's just going to be too late, which is a bit of a shame. But Ritesh says Jude is a luxury we can do without. I don't know whether he is a luxury we can do without Jude, but really, I just think it's too much too soon. If this was in a year's time, I think we'd be all over it. But we're not going to have those new owners in place, and by the time we do, Liverpool have clearly put a lot of work into this, and I think Real Madrid and Man City are monitoring it. My thought process is he's going to go to Liverpool, but maybe Real Madrid or Manchester City. Jono says you spent 100 million on Anthony, but won't on Bellingham. It's simple. Bellingham didn't want Manchester United. I mean, Jono, you're watching a United channel. You're clearly not a Man United fan. Welcome. It's not your fault that your club doesn't provide the great content that we do for United fans, but we didn't spend £100 million on Anthony. We spent £85 million on Anthony, and it was too much. And under a Glazer regime, we won't spend 200 million next year. So I go back to my point that Jono clearly hasn't woken up and smelt, that we can't afford to go for Jude Bellingham next summer under the Glazers, because that would be our whole budget. And we can't just buy Jude Bellingham. We need a right back, we need a centre back, we need a striker. So it doesn't suit United under the Glazers. Bellingham would be a player that we could go for under a new regime, but we won't have that new regime in time. So Jono, no, Bellingham hasn't said no to Manchester United because we're not in the race, which is the whole point of the story. We're not in the race because we can't be in the race. Simple as that. I wish we were in the race. I'd love him to come to Manchester United, but we can't be in the race, and hopefully in the future with new ownership we can be in that sort of a race. So yeah, let's wait and see what happens with that. Why did we give him a Carrington demo if he was just going to go to Liverpool? Well, Sean, you're talking there about when we tried to sign Bellingham before he went to Dortmund. We're not showing him around anymore. We're not going to give him a demo. And look, he's going to be an absolute superstar wherever he goes, and I think he probably will end up in the Premier League. But we are out of that race for Bellingham. And I'm quite happy about that, to be honest. I mean, I'd love him to sign for Manchester United, but I'm quite happy about it because it means that we can move on to what's more realistic. We need a right back, a midfielder, a centre-back and a striker. Which brings me on to the next thing, which also came from Sky Germany. Plettigol on Twitter. Very, very active over the last week or so, talking about Manchester United. Well, he's got an update about a centre-back I think we'd all like. Gvardiol, plays for Leipzig. Also plays for Croatia, had a good World Cup, but I don't care about the World Cup. I care about Gvardiol, the centre-back that actually anyone with a brain knows is going to be a very, very good centre-back. Been likened to Vidic. Anyone who's got some physicality and is a good centre-back gets likened to Vidic. Young, left-footed, good in the air, good on the ball, mobile, good in the tackle. Very good centre-back. My belief was that he was going to go to Chelsea. Now, the latest update on Gvardiol is that Manchester United are interested, Chelsea are interested, Real Madrid are interested, and Barcelona are interested. And this is coming from Germany, Plettigol. So, would I like Gvardiol at Manchester United? Yes. I've heard some people say, well, we can't go for him because he's left-footed and we've got Martinez. Well, if Martinez gets injured, we don't have a left-footed centre-back. And also, we've just spent the last 3 years playing two right-footed centre-backs. If you can play Maguire and Lindelof as two right-footed centre-backs, you can play Martinez and Gvardiol as two left-footed centre-backs. So let's get with the programme. The fact that he's a left-footed centre-back doesn't mean that we can't sign him. Now, the update is that he doesn't have a release clause and his contract runs till 2027. Now, that's really interesting to me because the fact that United have been linked to him and the fact that Leipzig are open to letting him go, with such a long contract, we need a centre-back next summer. Kim Min-jae's been mentioned. Gvardiol's being mentioned now. We do need a centre-back. We need to bring a centre-back into this football club. And look, we've been linked to Timber in the past as well. All those options to me are very interesting, whether it's Kim Min-jae, Gvardiol or Timber. The bottom line for me is, will we bring one of them in? And if it's one of those three, let Ten Hag make the decision. But if we're bringing a new centre-back in, that's fantastic. And I'm not ignoring the fact that Harry Maguire's done well in the World Cup, and I'm not ignoring the fact that Lindelof's done well when he's played for us this season. But when Varane or Martinez get injured, Lindelof and Maguire change the way we play because they ain't the modern centre-back that we need. They're not comfortable being left on their own. They're not comfortable playing a high line, and they're not comfortable being the modern centre-back that we need to play in that too. So I would hope that we are going to bring a centre-back in. Peter says we need two strikers, don't we? Could even use two midfielders and maybe two central defenders? And I agree, Peter, and that's what I was just going to say there. People might be moaning that we're out of the race for Bellingham. Logically, we shouldn't be in the race for Bellingham. If I'm Ten Hag and they say to me, do you want Bellingham or do you want four players? I'm going to say, well, I really want Jude Bellingham, but not now. I need four more players because if you get me Jude Bellingham, you're not going to solve three issues I need to solve to take us to the next level next year. Frostbite, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. In fact, we're filming some members stuff in the studio today that's going to go up tomorrow. So if you are a member, watch out. We've got some really good content coming for you. Thank you for being a member, Frostbite, and everyone else who's watching. We should look into Asian talents too, which will improve our scouting pool to be good players, says Cater. Well, I mentioned Kim Min-jae. I think the South American market's one we need to look at as well. But overall, we need to recruit better. I think you're spot on there. Would Gvardiol want to be backup to Martinez and Varane? Uvia, you make a good point, but it's a point I would dismiss for this reason. We buy a right back, not to be an understudy to Belot, but to be a competitor for Belot. We buy a centre back, not to be an understudy to Martinez and Varane, but to challenge for that. Martinez and Varane, especially Varane, he's not fit all the time. If you've got a really good centre-back, Varane plays one week, Gvardiol plays the other. You know, Kim Min-jae, Timber, whoever it is. The problem we have at the moment at centre-back is that Martinez and Varane are totally suitable for the way we want to play football, and they work fantastically well. But if one of them misses out, Lindelof and Maguire cause us to drop off. Drop off on the defensive line, but drop off in the way that we play. We need a centre-back that can play and challenge Varane and Martinez. And if Martinez gets dropped, or Varane's injured, or Varane gets dropped, so what? We need 3, ideally 4, but we definitely need 3 centre-backs. What are your thoughts on Must making demands from potential buyers? I find them unreasonable and could put off potential buyers, says Stephen Lee. Well, I spoke about it yesterday afternoon, Stephen, when I was talking about the Saudi bid. You can check that on the homepage. I think the intentions of the Manchester United Supporters Trust are good. Are they necessary? That's down to each and every individual. I think the desire to have fan influence on the board or fan ownership in the club is a noble one, but I personally just think if we get the right owners, it won't really matter anyway. Edward, we need about 7 or 8 new outfield players. Thank you very much for that, Edward. There's still good midfielders out there like Kudos, Enzo and more, says Kelmer. Well, look, I think we need to buy a few players. Just a couple of updates around the Dutch as well. You may have seen this. AS are talking about Memphis Depay. They're saying he is the Manchester United the most interested player in bringing him in. Now, I've got no story on Gakpo or João Felix for you this morning. Akshay, welcome to the Members Club. But I do have a story for you on Memphis Depay, and it is from Spain and it is from AS. And they are saying that Manchester United are the most interested club in Memphis Depay. Now, some of you might be quite happy with that. Some of you might be concerned with that. Just Keevan says the boss is in the office today. It's nice to be doing it in the office, you know. It's nice to be in the office. Yeah, look, I don't want to distract people from the prize. I don't want to concern people from the potential prize that we could get in a Cody Gakpo or a João Felix, but we must also consider we're Manchester United. We're Manchester United, and Memphis Depay may well be an option that United go for because he ticks the boxes we don't want to tick. He's cheap, he's available, he's free. You don't need to spend 20, 30, 40, 50 million quid. United might go for Memphis as a short term, hoping it's a long term fix. That is a concern. I like Memphis Depay, but is he a long term solution for Manchester United, or is he riddled with inconsistency and potential issues? And I think it's that. He's not a player to build a team around. He's not a player to build a future around. He comes with a lot of baggage. I mean, he's a former Man United player. I like him, but it's not. If we go for Memphis Depay, we're going for Memphis Depay because he's cheap. And that's not how you succeed. If somebody's doing better than you, you don't do better than them by buying cheap options. You do better than them by buying the best options. And sometimes they will be cheap. I'm not saying we've got to spend money to be successful. We've spent money over the last 10 years and we've done it wrong. But we've got to go for the best options. And Memphis Depay, I mean, Christian Eriksen was the best option and he was free. He was cheap. So it's not about the fact he's free. It's about it being the right option. Question outside the prize. Invest in the American market, possibly Brendan Aarons from Leeds or even Pulisic as Frostbite. There are some good players. I mean, Tyler Adams is a good player as well. Muzza is a good player as well. There's some good American players I wouldn't mind at Manchester United. So if we did get American owners and they want to invest, I don't mind them investing in a couple of American players. I think it would be fantastic. And we've got a lot of American supporters, but we don't want to buy players just because we've got American owners or American supporters. We want to buy good American players, and I think there are some out there. But yeah, look, the right option for Manchester United is Cody Gakpo or João Felix or Osimhen or someone like that. I think Memphis Depay is the wrong option. And the fact that he's cheap should not be coming into our mindset. There are some United fans out there that are going, oh, I'll go for Memphis because he's cheap. Why are we having that mentality? You've been infected by the Glazers there. We should not be thinking about what's cheap. It's not cheap for you to go and buy your kids a Man United kit for this Christmas, is it? You know, are you getting it off the market or are you getting them a genuine one? No, you're going to get them the genuine one if you can, because you want to get them a quality Manchester United shirt that they want for Christmas. Why would you then say, let's buy a cheap striker? We're Manchester United, we should be going and getting the best. The best is available. Cody Gakpo is available in January. João Felix is available in January. Take your choice and get the best. Don't go getting Memphis Depay because he's cheap. I like the player, but it's a cheap option. Alistair says, I love the studio. Thanks for the great content, says Alistair. Thanks for your support, Alistair. Appreciate that. This is Manchester United, says Alistair. What positions should be our priority in order, says Katie. He says, mine is centre-back to account for Varane and Martinez, right-back for Delo, and then we should get a proper number 9. And why is Ivan Toney not being discussed, says Charlie? Rightly or wrongly, I think Ivan Toney will not be discussed by Manchester United for the same reason Basuma was not an option in the summer. Basuma was part of under an investigation, and I think United wanted to avoid anything like that. And obviously, Ivan Toney is under investigation for breaches of gambling on football matches. That's all public information. I don't think United will want to be involved in anything like that, in light of what they've had in recent times with obviously Mason Greenwood. I think they'll just try and avoid that, which is a potential shame, because I think Ivan Toney is a very interesting player that should be playing up at upper level from Brentford. But I mean, it's not impossible that we go for Ivan Toney. Some people would say, well, you know, that shouldn't be a reason not to buy a good player. I agree with that, but if you want my opinion, I think Manchester United will avoid that. That's not my decision. It's not your decision. I think Manchester United will avoid it. Potential PR nightmare, says Omri. Yes. Do you think we'd go back in for Arnautovic, says Wan? No. I think Mitrovic is interesting. I don't think we'd go back in for Arnautovic. Jerry West said, who said Lukaku? I don't know, but get them banned. And unfortunate, but it's the correct decision. We can't go for Toney, says Leon. Interesting chats coming into this morning. Make sure you smash a like on the video, by the way, and do subscribe. So that's on Memphis. And then we had another update. Now, this is quite interesting on the right-back situation. Denzel Dumfries' agent has been speaking, and you don't normally get an agent speaking like this so openly. Now, instead of the usual, he's concentrating on the World Cup and that's all his focus is at the moment. His agent actually has said he hopes his price doesn't increase because it's going to make it very hard for him to get a transfer. And that's from Dumfries' agent. Now, Denzel Dumfries is currently having a very good World Cup with the Netherlands. He had a very good Euros a couple of years ago. Currently at Inter Milan. And looking for a move, and I think Inter Milan are looking to move him on. Now, the price range is somewhere between 25 million and 45 million. This right back was the right back that Erik ten Hag wanted in the summer. Now, I said a couple of days ago, you can't dismiss any story about Dumfries, certainly not when his agent is talking about trying to get him a transfer and wanting the price to stay down. But obviously, from Inter Milan's point of view, they're like, Denzel Dumfries is having a really good World Cup. This is going to, knock his price up. We know Chelsea are interested. We know that Ten Hag really liked him. What I can say with total and utter conviction is that we will not be signing Denzel Dumfries in January and a striker. We are not going to spend any more than about 40 million quid this January transfer window, in my opinion. And that limits us, really. I mean, you're not going to buy João Felix then, are you, Mark? Good work. You're right. I don't think we will. Cody Gakpo would basically be it then, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think Cody Gakpo would be it. I don't see United doing what they need to do, which is buy the players that Ten Hag wants when they're available. Now, if Dumfries is available for £35 million in January and Gakpo is available for £45 million in January, then you should spend that £80 million in January, because you won't need to spend it in the summer because they're two players that he really wants now. And in the summer, you won't need to spend as much money because you've got two of his 4 or 5 targets in already. United have this mentality with the January transfer window. We saw it last year. They completely dismiss it and don't understand how important it is. Last January transfer window, we ignored it when Rangnick put forward 2 or 3 good options, and we ignored it because we decided to ignore it and we didn't get top 4. This January transfer window is even more important because it's basically a mini off-season with the World Cup. And you can use that January transfer window like a summer transfer window. It can revitalise your team when you're basically playing 2 seasons in one. So if Dumfries is available and Gakpo is available, we should buy both. But I don't think we will. We may buy neither. We may spend nothing. We may just get Memphis Depay on a free. Can you ask Dumfries to be an understudy to Delo, says Tom Evans. Well, that was where I was going to go next. You've got to get Ten Hag what he wants. Now, he wanted Dumfries in the summer, but that's before he really had a proper look at Delo. Does he still want Dumfries for the reason that Tom has said there? Does he still look at Dumfries and go, I really like him, but he'd go straight into my team and I'd have to dump Delo out of my team? Or is he looking at it now and going, I need a right back, But I need a right back like Malassi as a left back, somebody who can understudy Luke Shaw and challenge them, but's probably not quite ready yet. You bring Dumfries in, you're putting him straight into the team. You bring Dumfries in, you're spending 35 million quid on a player that's got to start, and you're also making a player that you're trying to negotiate a new contract with unhappy in Delo. So I don't think it'll happen. Mark Sarins is a better option than Dumfries, says Charlie Max. Dumfries is a better player, but do we need a 40 million right back? Exactly, and I think you're probably right. I think we need an understudy right back with the potential to really challenge Delo. We need to respect Delo and say, you are the senior right back, you are the number one. We've got to bring somebody in because you could be injured or rotated, and we're going to go for somebody of a younger profile. Gusto from Lyon. I'd love him. I'd love him to come to United. I think he'd be fantastic. Whether it can be done or not, I think Gusto from Lyon would be my ideal. You could use Ethan Laird, says Kelvin. Max Aaron's been mentioned by some people. He's been laughed at by Apratim, but it's an option as well. Gusto would be ideal, says Brandon Atkinson, who's one of the members. 19 with potential to be equal, if not better, than Delo. He would be the perfect option, but I think what will happen at right back for Manchester United, if I'm honest, is we will go with Brandon Williams or Ethan Laird until the summer, and then we will get a right back in the summer. I think we'll get a striker in January. But if the right back that Ten Hag wants is available in January, why would you not do it in January? We're not going to be owned by the Glazers forever. And effectively, when it comes to the sale of Manchester United, whoever we buy in January is being paid for by the new owner anyway. If Wan-Bissaka goes, we need backup. Dumfries is fire, says Tom Grant. The Glazers aren't paying for the signings in January. The new owner is. That will be part of what United negotiate in the sale, or it will be part of what the new owners say. And what I mean by that is, if the Glazers don't know who the buyer is in January, they can buy players and basically say to the seller, we're adding that on. Or, more likely, in January, if they do know who the new buyers are, the new buyers can say to United, look, say to the Glazers, we're buying the club, buy those players in January, otherwise we're pulling out. So the money in January isn't a concern unless the Glazers aren't leaving. Because if they're leaving, what we spend in January, what I'm basically trying to say is, I've heard people say, we won't spend in January because the Glazers won't want to spend before they sell. But it's not a Glazer transfer window in January. They're selling the club. Therefore, it's in their interest to buy players. And I think that's what will happen. Sorry, let me just lean down here. Hopefully it won't make a massive mess because I do just need to check something on my phone, which I've completely forgotten to talk about. Yes, I know what I was going to talk about as well. I want to talk just very briefly about the number 7 shirts for Manchester United and what your thoughts are on that. Make sure you smash a like on the video, by the way. Ooh, leans down. We've got a preview coming for you today as well. We're playing Cadits tomorrow. I'm doing a watch-along tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So yeah, just a quick reminder of that. But yeah, if you've joined us a little bit late, United out of the race for Jude Bellingham. We were never in it. Interested in Gvardiol, like Chelsea are, centre-back, left-footed, Leipzig, very, very good. Memphis Depay, Spanish reports are saying that we're the most interested club in him. If we go for Memphis, we ain't getting Gakpo or Felix and we're not spending anything. And Denzel Dumfries, his agent, is saying that he wants the price to stay down so he can get him a transfer. Keep up the great work, mate, says Show. Thank you very much. But yeah, I do just want to Embolo. Oh my God, Wan has said Embolo. Right, this is World Cup fatigue. I'll come back to that. Fuster says, I really hope our players carry their World Cup form back into the league. Love all the content, Mark. And Mr. No says, get Cancelo from Man City for 13 million. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Embolo is a classic. I've watched the World Cup and I think he'd be a good player in real life. The World Cup ain't real. It ain't real. It's slow. It's not the same quality as the Premier League. I'm telling you now, Embolo is a good player for Switzerland. He may even knock Portugal out this evening, but he is not an elite striker. He will frustrate the life out of you. He's not that player. I wouldn't go anywhere near Embolo. He's a handful, but he ain't that sort of player. As for people carrying their World Cup form into United form, I mean, Casemiro, for me, is probably the standout player. He's running that midfield for Brazil. He's absolutely brilliant. I mean, his form before the World Cup for Manchester United was very, very good. He's been brilliant. We've got Bruno playing tonight. He's been very, very good. Delo, Anthony's not really played that much, has he? Martinez, when he's played, has been good. Luke Shaw, I think, has been good. And then you've got some peripheral players like Harry Maguire. You know, he's looking better for game time, isn't he? I mean, he's not starting for United when he comes back unless England get knocked out on Saturday, and then he'll play before Varane gets back and might hold his place that way. But you know what? Actually, there's an interesting point. It might be good for Harry Maguire for England to get knocked out on Saturday, because that means Varane will not be back for the Forest game or the Burnley game, but Maguire will, and he can come back and get his place. So there you go. Get rid of Casemiro, get Rodri for 50 million. Mr. No's an idiot. It's a Man City fan. I'm going to ignore you from now on. But one thing I did want to talk about was the number 7 shirt. So the number 7 shirt, Ronaldo is gone. Might be going to Saudi Arabia. Who knows? What's the point in doing an interview like you did if you're going to go to Saudi Arabia? But that's for another time. Would you give the number 7 shirt out now? For me, this is a big fat no. We've had times where that number 7 shirt has been left empty for a little bit, and I think now is the perfect time to keep that shirt empty. Like, I can see people in the chat saying give it to McTominay, no, seriously, somebody did. Give it to Anthony, give it to Garnacho, give it to Sancho, even Rashford. You know what? I actually think the person who will want it the most is Rashford. I think Rashford is somebody who's very aware of Manchester United's history and is also very brandable. I think Rashford might ask for it. And people who say, well, a striker can't have it, Cantona had it. So he played centre. So and Rashford's not a striker, really. Rashford plays off the left. So I wouldn't be surprised if Rashford had it. I mean, he's got the number 10. He has got the number 10. Would he fancy moving from 10 to 7? He might. Bruno might want it. Bruno might want it. I mean, the 7 shirt is iconic. It's you know, George Best, winger. Ronaldo, winger. Beckham, winger. Cantona, striker. Robson, centre midfielder. So as long as you're not a right back or a centre back or a goalkeeper, I think pretty much anywhere in midfield or in attack could have that shirt. Would I give it? If I had to give it to somebody now, who would I give it to? I think that's a logical question. I think it would have to go to a Bruno or a Rashford for me, because at least they've got a CB. I don't think handing a number. I mean, Tom puts it well. He says that 7 is a burden. Hold it until someone earns it. Rashford or maybe Garnacho down the line, keeping it mark on the Holy Night stand. It is a burden, and correct me if I'm wrong. Did Memphis Depay not carry that burden badly? I don't think it should be given to somebody who's not earned it. It can't go to Sancho for that reason. Garnacho's too young. Anthony's not earned it. So I wouldn't give it to those 3. And I don't really think it suits Bruno and Rashford, but if they wanted it, they might want it. I would keep it. Alexis Sanchez had it as well. I would keep it. I would keep it vacant for a bit. Value the shirt. Don't devalue the shirt. And also, it's going from Ronaldo to somebody, isn't it? So let's respect what the number 7 shirt is and actually make sure that whoever gets it next doesn't follow the Ronaldo curse, which did follow for a long time after the last time he left. So if you believe in superstition, and some footballers do, I wouldn't be in a rush to get that shirt yet. And I certainly think the likes of Anthony, Garnacho and Sancho need to earn it. But whether the club will do that or not, I don't know. You know, Manchester United is a brand, and the number 7 shirt is iconic. So they might want to get somebody into it quite quickly. I've got no inside information on that. I don't know what they'll do. Personally, I would leave it vacant until the summer and see where we are then. By which time, maybe Anthony could have it. Maybe Sancho could have it. But if you're desperate to give it to anybody now, I think you've got to go down the tried and tested route and give it to Bruno or Rashford. That would be my opinion on that. But there we go. Andrew says, wait till someone earns it. Sancho will get it next season, says King Shah. I mean, look, Sancho's a logical one, but you wouldn't give it him at the moment. No way. Mbappe might fancy it. Well, Jim White, thank you. Thank you there, Jim. Audi, driver. Anyway, yes. What was I going to say? Yeah, keeping it vacant might not be a bad idea for the next player you want to buy as well. I mean, I can't really think of a player that we would want to give. Jude Bellingham. We're back in the race. We're back in the race. Hey, Jude, we've got the number 7 shirt. Come and have it. Depay coming to get his shirt back, says Robert McCormack. Imagine that. Imagine if Memphis Depay came in and had that shirt. That would be very interesting. Apratam says I wouldn't change it mid-season. And thoughts on Palestri, Mark, says Applesauce. Thank you for mentioning Palestri. I thought, you know, Uruguay are out now, but I actually thought he was one of their better players when he came on. And I do wish he'd get a bit of game time for Man United. I don't know whether he can get back quick enough to be involved in the Carabao Cup maybe or something like that. But Ten Hag clearly doesn't fancy him. And I don't think he will end up getting any game time at Manchester United. But he could still have a decent career. Maybe at United, but I don't necessarily think he will. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. Really enjoyed being in the studio today. I'm in the studio today because I'm doing watch-alongs on That's Football. People have asked for it, so me and Ricky are going to do Spain against Morocco at 3 o'clock. So make sure you tune into That's Football for that. We've also got a preview coming up this afternoon as well for the Cadets game. A weird preview, but a justified preview and quite an exciting one. So watch out for that. I think that's going up at 2 o'clock. And obviously, we're live on That's Football at 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock. It's Portugal tonight as well, Bruno. So looking forward to that one as well. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Smash a like on the video. Don't forget, we've got some new members videos coming up for you starting tomorrow in the studio. You're going to really enjoy it. Thanks to all our members who support the channel. If you want to do that, click the join button and I'll speak to you later.